Waiters and waitresses of restaurants that offer crayons to children. What's the weirdest thing you've seen a child draw? I once drew a very detailed crayon standards diagram of a sea cucumber when I was a wee lad, and I watched the busboy just crumple my masterpiece up with all the other garbage and toss it away. My niece was always quite the drama queen. About 9 years ago we were eating at a restaurant and I saw her drawing a lovely landscape. It was adorable watching her draw a sun wearing sunglasses, grass, flowers, and a tombstone. Concerned, I asked what she was drawing. She said, "It is me. We waited so long here I died." She is an even more dramatic teenager now. Help me. Kid about 5 to 6 drew a very detailed picture of two people having sex. Parents didn't even acknowledge it. I once saw a kid draw a picture of their dad dead with a knife in his chest and their mom standing by the body smiling. It made me concerned about their home life. There used to be a restaurant in the town I went to college in that was basically a knockoff of Applebee's called Garfield's. It had paper strewn across all the tables, and crayons so the wait staff could write their names down for the customers and the customers could write whatever they wanted. I was in there one afternoon with my girlfriend when the mother and daughter in the booth behind us decided to leave without paying for their meal. The waitress was at first pissed, but then began laughing when she realized that they had written down their real names repeatedly in crayon all over the table. They were caught by the police less than an hour later. According to the police report, they drew an animal with two heads directly on the table. I asked them what it was supposed to be, and apparently it was their pet dog. Parents offered no explanation on why their pet had two heads, or why they let their kid draw on the table. So I showed the kid how he could use a wet wipe as an eraser. The kids played one game of hangman. The stick figure was fully hanged, and the word they used was my first name. The face on the hanged man had eyes and a straight line for a mouth. It was kinda creepy. Not something a kid drew, but a funny story. I went to greet my table once, and the parents asked me to take the red crayon. Only the red. Because their daughter will eat red crayons. Not any other colors. Just red. She didn't leave a drawing. But I had an 8-year-old take the entire order for the kids' table in purple crayon for about 7 kids and herself. She told me she had aspirations to also be a waitress. Unfortunately, I trusted her order, and she got it slightly wrong. Hopefully she has contemplated other career options. Her drawing is still on my fridge though. Some little kid wrote #FRETUBBYSMITH. One time this really sweet little girl said she drew me a picture, and not to look at it until she left. It was folded up on the table. So I walk over after she leaves, and she wrote in crayon, "Really big you are Gail Fail." I died laughing and kept it. Child about 7 wrote, "I own this restaurant now. There is a fish and chips shop near where I live called Sticks Fish and Chips, and it encourages kids to draw on the placemats. The best ones are then displayed on the walls. A couple of my favorites are the ones which express their love for the restaurant. I love Sticks. And nothing like a feed of sticks. The owners are really old and don't get the reference, which makes it all the more hilarious." I'm not a waiter, but my daughter at 5 colored a picture of Abraham Lincoln, her school's name. She gave the president red lips. My husband calls it Abraham Lincoln, and it's still on our refrigerator. She's 7 now. Years ago, small town. A doctor and his wife with their 3 very well-behaved boys came in for dinner. I used to love this family. Always polite. Ordered well. The second or third time taking care of them. I'm taking their orders when they're youngest. No older than 8. Hand me a piece of paper from his Blue's Clues notebook. Scralbot and very legible writing. In red crayon. "May I have a plate of bacon please?" Yes. He even drew a strip of bacon. The word poop over and over. Parent. Not server. But my 6-year-old son has drawn pictures of our waitresses and given them to our servers on multiple occasions. He always draws them with big eyes, long lashes, and a happy smile. When he gives them to our server, he always compliments them on something. Their hair, their jewelry, the color of their nails, etc. Too long. Don't read. My son has more swagger at 6 than I've had my whole life. Their family naked in the swimming pool. This is kind of related. I'm a librarian and we keep pencils and paper all over the library for people to write call numbers on when they are looking for books. I always find and keep notes with arts or weird writing on them. One of my favorites is a note that had one word on it. Cannibalism. One favorite art picture was a picture of a Pikachu with a heart on its tail, and it said something like, "I'm a girl. Deal with it." Late to the thread. But in high school worked at a breakfast restaurant named after Humpty Dumpty. Had a kid artistically rendition a Humpty coloring page into what he titled Crackhead Humpty. Complete with a pipe and bloodshot eyes. A bit of a masterpiece really. Shoulder framed it. Not a waitress but the parent. My daughter drew a dolphin and whale swimming together. Looked like two penises having an arm wrestling match. Edit. Of course my highest rated comment is about phallic sea creatures. I kept the picture for a long time. A 6-7-year-old girl drew me pictures of the separate components of blood. Red and white cells. Platelets. Plasma. It was super cool. But different. I've been waiting for a thread just like this to post my cute encounter. An adorable little girl came up to me and asked for empty pictures. It took me a while to realize that she meant blank papers. I had to take a moment to get myself back together because the concept of her thinking that the papers were pictures which hadn't been drawn yet almost brought me to tears. I was a waitress at a sushi restaurant and last summer, a kid gave to me a drawing of a green sushi tank that was shooting glitter. I thought it was brilliant actually. Hope that kid becomes a creative adult. There was a coloring page that was of a little girl holding a dog. The little girl who colored it in, who is 4, drew a rope around the girl's neck and the only color she put on the girl was making her face purple. We still have it hung up behind the bar out of the sight of customers. Sometimes I look at the picture and worry about that little girl, sometimes I just laugh. Not really kids, but a couple of teenagers, and it was of 5 guys. 2 people came in and ordered looking clearly out of it, like they were stoned or on something, and later we found one of the index cards that said, "I've been up for 5 days on meth, and I ate a 5 Guys burger and felt okay." I call that a decent review. I'd give crayons to almost anybody if they seemed like the type that would enjoy it. I loved giving crayons to first dates. It always went really well. One time I was bussing the table after this elderly couple left, and the wife had drawn a very detailed, anatomically correct penis. Like superb at Jonah Hill stick drawings level of dedication to the craft. A magnificent veiny phallus, drawn by this unassuming little old woman, while her husband sat across the table. I was a hostess. A 9-year-old kid drew himself as a pizza chef with "Give me my ducking seat" lovingly written next to it. I think I have it on my computer somewhere. Haha. Edit. Couldn't find the original, but here is a screenshot of the IG post I made back then. Ignore the crappy filter and quality. IG was fairly new in 2013. I think. My ex used to always draw what he referred to as urban art, which consisted of a naked lady with her legs spread with a bag over her head. He passed it off that my 2-year-old drew it one time. Proceeded to horrify our waitress who had probably 20 employees over to see this, and we were asked to leave. A picture of me with the captions "Our waitress. Nerd and can I take your order?" Which I didn't even say. A very sweet, quiet, polite boy that was a serving dream. I laughed so hard when I lifted his plate and found that eater. It was probably 15 years ago, and I still have it somewhere. Had someone draw really detailed and frankly impressive furry porn on the back of a menu. I actually kept that for a while. Family of 8 sitting next to me. The kid drawing is a chubby toddler making noises while scribbling on his paper kids menu. His mom asks him, "What are you drawing, sweetie?" and he replies in this old manish rasp, "Gotta draw my own damn milkshake because it's taking too long." The family lost it while the mom scolded him. Not a waiter, just a food enthusiast. Once on my way out of the restaurant I walked by a family that had a little dude like maybe 7-ish, and he was putting the finishing touches on the Wu-Tang logo drawn in yellow crayon on his kid's menu sheet. Awesome kid. At least, it looked like the Wu-Tang logo. I choose to believe that's what he was drawing. Tangentially related. In college, I hung with a nerdy crowd. I mean, even by Reddit standards. We were music majors and enjoyed going to Macaroni Grill, as that restaurant gives crayons to everyone and uses drawing paper rather than tablecloths. Also, it was better Italian food than Olive Garden, which was in turn better by miles than what we normally had on campus. We had a game where once we placed our orders, we had until the food came to use the crayons to write a snippet of a composition, and then we'd have each other perform it once we got back to the dorms. We were so nerdy. This was actually fun, and became a monthly tradition that spread outside of our little circle. Not at a restaurant, but my GF's daughter made a pretty interesting drawing the other day and hung it on the fridge. It was a stick figure holding what appeared to be a severed head in one hand, complete with a smiley face, and what appeared to be a neck hanging off. I saw it and asked her to tell me about it. Turns out the severed head was actually an ice cream cone. Reminded me that kids see this world entirely different than adults. Lol. Not a waiter, but a dentist. In my waiting room we have coloring books for the kids. One day a patient informs us of some of the pictures in said books. Pages and pages of Alvin and the Chipmunks with boobs and penises. Also various vulgar words. We hung them in the break room for a laugh. When I was about 7 I wrote my home phone number on the table, because I thought the waitress was cute. She called the number thinking my dad wrote it. Note: don't know how she mixed up a 7-year-old's handwriting with a 40-year-old. My mom answered the phone and accused my dad of cheating. After hearing them yell at each other for a while, I finally told them the truth. Needless to say they still laugh about it / at me to this day. I remember overhearing some mother tell her kid, "Oh no, you've got to color him a real skin color," after he colored in the kid in the picture brown. A little girl made this masterpiece. Not a waiter, but at Applebee's with my ex and her kid. I'd already given up on the relationship and life at that point, so said, "Duck it. Let's go to Applebee's." Her 5-year-old boy spent the first 10 minutes we were there alternate between spilling orange soda and scribbling on the placemat / child distraction device. After a meal that failed to meet even my already abysmally low expectations, we trudged out. As I was leaving a wadded $5 bill for our tip, I noticed the kid has drawn a giant purple stick with a speech bubble saying "rare." It even has balls. She was around 10 to 12. She drew an extremely graphic, detailed, artistic and disturbing picture of her dad sexually abusing her. He was sitting right across the table from her and never noted when she handed it to me. She wrote the words, "Help me," under it, her phone number and her address. Yes, I reported it. No, I'll probably never find out what happened to her as I stopped working there shortly after.